Does anyone running for office have any solutions for Nigeria's chronic healthcare problems? Well, someone does. Not the politicians, though. Imagine a scenario where helicopters and air ambulances provide swift medical emergency and medical-related transport for people in distress all across Nigeria. Well, in a country with a mass vulnerability problem when it comes to healthcare, it would be a huge step forward, wouldn't it? Especially as the politicians yet again promise a healthier life in 2023. Well, such a service may soon be coming to a helipad near you, a new solution perhaps to saving lives in this country. But what would it take to get the presidential candidates and the Nigerian government to take such an important service on board? Well, while they fail to see what a potentially huge step forward this could be in the availability of world-class healthcare services, and while the president leads the way in medical tourism abroad, a team of private sector experts have set their sights on launching what they say will be Nigeria's first airborne emergency service. It's called Emergency Air Medical Services Nigeria. One of its founders is William Ijeh, who used to be a consultant for Swiss Air and was a senior staff with the UN agency responsible for telecommunications and information technology. And Mr. Ijeh joins me now in the studio. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you, Charles. Thanks for having me.
First of all, how would you assess the state of healthcare in Nigeria at the moment?
Well, that's I think that's a big question. But we in Nigeria, I think we have such a crisis, and the healthcare sector will need fundamental work to be able to rebuild it and to bring it back to what it should be. And we would like to contribute our own bit in this reconstruction of the healthcare sector.
Well, in that case, tell us about emergency air medical services. What is it about?
Well, emergency air medical services is actually a concept where we're not reinventing the wheel around the world, but we're bringing this concept to Nigeria. And what we like to do is to be able to make it affordable and accessible to people. The whole idea here is to be able to provide services in very critical cases and trauma cases, life-threatening cases, to be able to move people to local hospitals, domestic hospitals. We're not, and I like to underline this, we're not into medical tourism, but we like to be able to move people within Nigeria in hospitals that would take adequate care of their situation.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be an expensive project, though. Not just for you coming up with the money. I mean, you obviously have, but I mean for the people, because I understand it's a subscription service, so it'll be for people who can afford it.
Well, the concept is based on subscription, but we want to make it affordable and to be able to have a large percentage of the population. What also we like to do, or what we're doing, is to have ground and helicopter ambulances to be able to have a comprehensive service for those who could only afford the ground ambulance. But in critical situations, of course, we will see how we'll manage it. And the larger the number of subscribers, the lower the subscription rate will be. So we want to make it accessible to people. We're not looking at the high-end class of Nigeria. We want to get everybody on board. And that's one of the fundamental objectives, and what's actually exciting about this particular concept that we have.
And have you spoken to the current government? If so, what's been their reaction to it?
Well, we've approached the health sectors or the health authorities, and they're supportive, but they're not in a position at the moment to be part of it. So we will say that it's been approved, but we'd like to go further to be able to partner with some of the government agencies in order to move this project ahead and to be able to get to more people.
And presumably, because there's a lot of complaints, just like they are about the public universities, presumably a lot of this, because you'd have to go from, picking someone up in a helicopter and taking them to a very efficient hospital. Are those likely to be many more private hospitals, really?
Well, we're looking at private hospitals, and then we're talking to university teaching hospitals also. I can tell you we've established contact with most university teaching hospitals. The idea is to be able to enhance their services and then to be able to get them also to understand or to rethink the way they admit people, the way they take people, they address critical issues in Nigeria at the moment, if they want to compete or if they want to live up to international standards.
And you've spoken to the different political parties about your project and about incorporating primary health into their manifestos. What's been their reaction?
Well, I would say that we met with a few. We had sort of mixed reactions. Most of them have been very positive. I mean, I will have to underline that they welcome the idea. How they will carry it on board, that's another story. We will have to see in the future how we work with them. And whoever will emerge as the president or the ruling party will intensify cooperation with that particular party.
But you're not aligned to any party, which is why you've talked to many of them to give them the option of bringing this on board.
Yeah, no, we're not aligned to any party because we cannot be aligned to one particular party and a health situation. I mean, this is a universal healthcare program, so we're completely neutral, and we're not aligned to any specific political party.
And just looking at that service again, I mean, in a country with limited roads, etc., with all this flooding and insecurity, I mean, this is important, isn't it? Because you have to be able to airlift people quite fast to hospitals.
And this is exactly why we're doing this, because if you look at the infrastructure in terms of the road, we've had cases of prominent people. I won't mention the name, but there's a university teaching hospital, a university professor, a consultant, who passed last week from a cardiac arrest on the highway. And he was able to call his family, but unfortunately there was no transportation facility to be able to take him from that particular point to the hospital. And this is one of the examples of what we want to do to be able to assist, because the knowledge gone from that particular case is a huge knowledge.
Absolutely, and that is probably why, I mean, I know I sort of keep taking this back to politics, but that's why this should be a campaign priority, shouldn't it, given the state of healthcare in this country?
Well, we hope. I mean, our objective is to see the politicians take this on board and to be able to integrate this sort of concept in their campaign and beyond, not just for the campaign purposes, but after the campaign period, to be able to take it also on board. Whoever emerges as the president or even governors at the state level should take this on board and assist us in promoting this and getting it across the country.
Yeah, but so far, because I mean, I know you've talked to at least 12 political parties. Is there a life raft out there when it comes to healthcare as you look at the presidential candidates in the 2023 race?
Well, if you look at the manifestos out, I mean, at least the ones that I've looked at, they do have, I mean, there is mention of the health care sector, but one of the things we need to do is, I think in this country we need to work collectively, because this is a primary issue that everybody in the country is concerned. If you're not, if it's not you directly, people close to you are also concerned. So it's important that they all carry it along and sincerely do the job to be able to get Nigerians to get real, I mean, international health care.
And without getting you to be too political, how do you see the fact that Nigeria's president goes abroad for medical treatment and that none of the hospitals in this country appear to be good enough for him, even though ordinary Nigerians are expected to use those healthcare facilities for themselves?
I think this is that's an interesting question, but you see, the issue here, the way I would look at it is probably because he has started taking treatment, and then it's a sort of follow-up. But however, we should work harder in this country to be able to have our politicians or the people in power or in government to be able to take their treatment locally. Because in most cases, when you go out, you end up meeting Nigerian doctors outside this country to treat you. So we might as well do some sort of repatriate the brain drain that we've had in the medical sector also. So I think there's a lot of work to be done in the medical sector, and we should all collectively work towards that. It's also, we could cut across other sectors in the society, but this particular case is it's an unfortunate case, but I hope that will reverse in the future.
And obviously, you've told us a bit about how it'll work. It'll be subscription based. Presume there'll be hospitals that are part of your kind of network. A bit like a telephone, I suppose, a mobile phone. I mean, people kind of, key into your particular thing, and you're going to use, I suppose, digital updated services, computers and all that to be able to get things like moving pretty quickly.
Yes.
Because speed is of the essence, isn't
actually,
it?
this particular service is based on speed, attention, and quality. So we're going to have professionals, medical doctors on board the helicopters or in the ground ambulances to be able to stabilize patients and then take them to the hospital.
Right.
And then we're going, within those equipment, I mean the helicopters and the ground ambulances, we're going to integrate computer system or ICT technology, real swift technology to be able to communicate directly with the hospitals and then provide information on the patient's situation as we go along or as they transport that particular patient to the hospital. So the hospitals...
So by the time he gets to the hospital, they know their history.
They know the history, and they know how to get prepared to receive that particular patient.
Okay. Well, we've got about 30 seconds. What stage is this at right now?
We're now at the stage where we're looking at rolling it out in a couple of months.
Okay.
Yeah, and we hope to roll it out early 2023.
Well, congratulations, and if I fall sick, I hope I can phone you up, and I'd be quite happy to subscribe, actually. I don't want it for free. But Mr. Ijeh, of course, William Ijeh is used to be a consultant for Swiss Air. He's one of the founders of the Emergency Air Medical Services Nigeria, and of course he was a senior staff with the UN agency responsible for telecommunications and information technology. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Charles. Thanks.